What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about BCHG, LTCN, HZEN, and Zcash on the Grayscale Trust today for Gaming C, Mr. Martin, and Sreko Horvat. We're going to go over that for all of you guys. I tried to make a video on this already. It went on for a while. It was very confusing. I had to restart it. Long story short, with BCHG, same targets are on the table, man. I expect this thing to at least go, I would say, to 234, potentially down to around 170. That's where I think it's going. LTCN, and we're gonna go over the accredited investors. That's why it carried on so long, man. The accredited investors thing. From top to bottom here, I've got these lines picked out because that is where your extensions are from this high to, or this low to high here. That's where your 1272 and your 1618 are. So anywhere from about 670 to about 520 is where I think you're going with LTCN. And I know some people are calling me flip-flopper, man, but whenever we get down here, I'm going to flip the flop again and say we're going up, you know, something like that. But the price flip-flops, I'm going to flip-flop. The whole time going up, I was like, we could go up this high and then pull back down, right? I said that. I literally said that from down here. I said it from up here. As we got closer to the top, I was a little bit like, maybe we don't go below these lows. I still said that we would pull back. You know, maybe it's a higher low, maybe it's a double bottom. But yesterday, I know I said that I think we're going below these lows again, right? And yesterday was actually the beginning of this drop for both BCHG and LTCN. Now we're talking about HZEN. I'm saving the accredited investor thing for later. I think HZEN is going to be range bound. Again, like I said, I already made this video, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but I think HZEN, you're going to be range bound between essentially that line and this line over here. I have it circled, right? You were up in this area before. You broke out. I don't think you're going to pull back to this zone. You could, but if you go to $2, you're not going to go too much lower than $2. That would be like the very maximum to the downside that I would think you go. But I don't even think you go there. I think you accumulate in this range for a couple weeks, a couple months, and then you continue higher. We might have seen HZEN pump like this because of the accredited investor news. HZEN is not on that list. Ethan Gallstad, shout out to Ethan. You posted an email. You posted the email you got showing which ones were open. We're going to get into that later too, but I just want to say, who knows, maybe that's why this went up. There's not going to be any share dilution, as of now at least, right? They can do that whenever they want. On a little side note, guys, a lot of you have asked, why do I not, I talk about these Grayscale trusts. I've talked about a bunch of times how I don't have any interest in investing in them myself. I just invest in the underlying asset in the cryptos. And some of you have asked, do you think the Grayscale trusts are going to go up more than the cryptos? Why don't you get in the Grayscale trust? This is the kind of reasons why, guys. You never know. Grayscale is a company. It's run by people. Crypto is a software. It's run by code. People can change their minds. They can throw things at you. They have their faults. Code has its faults too, but when you're dealing with coins like Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin that have been around for years, if they had faults, they'd be exploited already, right? You can't change code. The code is law, right? Where with Grayscale, law is whatever word of mouth they say. So that's why I personally always, and I learned this early in my early days investing and trading, you can always make more money in derivatives, but you always have more safety and security in the actual underlying asset. It's better to hold a gold bar in your possession than it is to have a certificate from the government that says, you own this bar, we're just holding it for you, and you can't have it. You know what I mean? Like, there's more value in actually owning it. With crypto, you can actually own it. That's why I like owning the underlying asset, because regardless of what Grayscale does with or without their shares, the underlying asset goes up, right? It doesn't care what Grayscale does. Only the trust, the shares do. But we're going to get into that. Okay? I was just answering a question I didn't think this exact thing would happen. Again, there's more security because of who knows what could happen. Who knows what could happen? There's always more security in owning the underlying asset. There's more potential for gains in owning the derivatives. So, you know, if you're looking for gains, like, you're definitely in the right spot for Grayscale. And I do think we'll still see some gains, guys. ZCSH. Grayscale Trust here. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Looking good. Also kind of like HZEN, but you're in your accumulation range. I think you want to go higher, man. I remember in my video before I was saying you're probably going to go up to about like there to there, somewhere in that area. I think you're moving up there. If we take this relative fib from this high to this low, 1272, 1886, all in that area. Again, ZCSH was not on that list of the like new round of accredited private sales, so that could be why you see more interest in this as well. I looked at Zcash, the actual crypto chart. Looks like it wants to go up a little bit from here. Not dramatically, but that could be also like a little bit of added fire to this. So let's get into it. Let's talk about Grayscale. Let's talk about what I think about these accredited things. You know, Ethan Gallstad, shout out to Ethan again. He made a couple of videos talking about it, and I just want to say, you know, I know that Ethan has promoted the Grayscale stuff a lot. He's put his name out there, right? And I just want to say, like, I think he got pissed, right? I'm not going to speak as much French as he did. He got pissed, and rightfully so. I remember whenever I found out with CleanSpark, I own CleanSpark shares, that they were diluting it. I kind of got pissed because it's like, why am I buying a stock if you're just going to dilute the shit? You're taking money from me. But you never know what they're going to do with that money. You never know what could happen, because after that, the price did go up dramatically. We went from like $4 all the way up to $13, you know what I mean? So just because you're diluting shares doesn't mean that it's necessarily going to zero. It depends on what they do with that money, first and foremost. But also just shout out to Ethan for just being transparent. He put his name out here, you guys, right? And I'm sure there are some people who are giving him crap or who are mad or whatever. I don't know. I haven't like read the comments. I've read the Discord. It seems like a lot of people are understanding, but maybe I missed some stuff. He could have just buried his head in the sand. He could have just been like, I'm not going to talk about this anymore. This upsets me, whatever. But he's like, this is upsetting. I want to keep the people who I've been talking to about this in the know. And he literally shared his email. Like, I don't, as much as he could do as far as transparency goes, I feel like he's doing that, as he always has, man. So shout out to Ethan for just being transparent. And really what I want to get to is talking about how, yes, from what I gathered, from all the information I read, and I've gone over it, guys, so I feel pretty confident in what I'm saying here. Yes, you can find things that say, like, let's see, actually. Let's go back. If we went to something like this, where is it? Invest now. If you click this and you go to private placement products, you go to confirm, right? Yes, it says minimum investment is here, $50,000 for the following here. Yes. But that's not all, right? $25,000 for all other private placements. And that would imply that there's other private placements besides these, okay? These might just be initial private placements. That's why they're at a higher premium, but or at a higher minimum investing value. These are probably all the cryptos that are on there. And from what I could read, it's 5 cryptos. It's probably GBTC. I don't remember, but I do know it was LTCN, BCHG, ETH, Chainlink. I would assume the 5th one would be GBTC as well. But there's 5 of them, and they're available now for private sale, right? It's available now for private sale. So that would mean, and looking it up too, I don't know where to find it on this, but they don't need to hold it for a year. I know that there's a part that says that they need to hold it for a year, but if they're in correspondence with this like SEC law, which I'm pretty sure they are, they're allowed to restrict it only for 6 months before their private investors can sell. So what I'm trying to get to is, this opened up 2 days ago, right? For some of you, maybe it's 3 days ago now that you've woken up, right? Depending on what day it is. Opened up 2 days ago. What happened 2 days ago, right? We got 1 day here, 2 days. I mean, technically for me it was yesterday. So I mean, but whatever. 2 days on the chart is what I'm trying to say. That's when the email happened. At least that's Ethan made his video yesterday, so I'm assuming that it came out yesterday. And he was rightfully pissed, man. So I would assume, I'm not laughing at you, man, but I'm just saying those are emotions that seemed fresh. You didn't sleep on it. That seemed fresh. So I'm assuming that that's when the news came out. Now, if private sale for accredited investors, you got to think, right? Accredited investors, these are people with serious cash, right? Or serious cash, maybe, like, depending, $1 million is serious cash, but like, or like 2 million. I forget what you can read it. It is something like a little bit over $1 million, or maybe it's $1 million. If you're a business, it's like 5 million in liquid assets. That's a lot of money, but like in the grand scheme of the world, that's not like a lot of money, right? But for the average person, that is a lot of money. Do you think those people are going to be interested in buying the private sale when they see the price going like this. Bear with me. When they see the price going like this, you might be like, well, they could buy it now and it's at the NAV price. Yes, they can, but they have to have it locked up for 6 months. For 6 months. We just talked about the price going about $1 below here to $1.70, $1.80, that area, right? $1 below here would be like, it actually, I remember that the target's actually 234 is like the minimum target. 234, and the NAV price is 233. Do you think they would rather buy something that's locked up? If they're interested in buying this at all, BCHG, and the same thing would stand for LTCN too. I mean, LTCN's at a higher premium, I believe, but it also had a tank of a day. Do you think they want to buy the thing that's locked up, or would they rather wait for the thing that's not locked up and buy the underlying thing if they have interest in it? You know, if I had a lot of money looking to buy this thing, and I wanted to buy, you know, whether I wanted to do the private sale or not, I might think, looking at the charts, this might go down. Instead of having it locked up for 6 months, I could just buy this here and be good. Now, while it lasts, yes, 347 to 233, that is a significant premium, but you have to have it locked up for 6 months. It's not a large amount of time, but it might not be as enticing at these prices is all I'm trying to get at, okay? I don't know, and Ethan, maybe you can help me out. Anybody who has the email or who has more knowledge on this, I tried to figure it out. I even actually wrote an email to Grayscale. I'm sure a lot of people did, but I was trying to figure out how long this round is open for, because I'm sure this is not an indefinite thing, right? It wasn't the last time. It's probably not going to be this time. Is it a month? Is it 6 months? Is it a year? Like, is it 3 months? I wonder how long this lasts for, because I'm assuming for BCHG that, like, after the halving, like sometime over here, right, we will probably see higher prices than we are now, right? So until then, right, who knows how long it takes to get down to the levels I'm thinking of, but probably sometime in March, early April is what I'm thinking. Until then, there's probably not going to be a lot of interest from these accredited investors to buy. Probably not, right? Why buy below even the NAV price when you could just buy the underlying thing and not have it locked up for 6 months, and you can do whatever you want with it, sell it whenever you want, you know? To me, that would make more sense. But as the price continues to grow, as we get to these prices that are like $10, $8, it gets further away. The price starts to look good. You're looking at it on a macro scale. You're like, oh, that was a higher low. You've got a higher low. You're forming a higher high. You know, even if it comes back down, it's going to be a higher low. It's going to be well above the NAV price. You know, are there going to be more interested accredited investors for private sale later is what I'm trying to get at. So however long this round is open for, I want to know. Like, when's the limit for these accredited investments to be closed out? Because if it's like 6 months from now, yes, it started 2 days ago, which would mean that as early as it's February 15th right now, as I'm talking, it's February 15th. That means as early as, and it came out yesterday, so the 14th, August 14th, or at least around there, that week of August 14th would be when these become unrestricted and they can sell on the open market, okay? But I would assume the volume of sellers from the accredited investment perspective, it's going to be lesser in August than it will be in September, than it will be in October, than it will be in November. That's my assumption, assuming however long this stays open for. I would also assume that the people at Grayscale understand just as much as I do, and I mean, I believe at least that BCH and LTC are probably going to drop in price. So my thoughts, and I'm doing a lot of assuming here, okay? I'm drawing lines that aren't necessarily there, but I've got them from dots that are kind of there, okay? I would assume that by the time that these accredited investors are able to trade or sell their locked shares, if they didn't add more Bitcoin Cash or LTCN to the pot, this would dilute a lot. And I don't think Grayscale wants that. I'm not 100% sure. I don't know what goes on in their mind, but I don't know if they want to dilute that share. I would assume they want to add more BCH and more LTC to their trusts. And when are they going to do that? They're probably going to do that if these prices drop lower, right? They've probably been doing it. I don't know. Maybe they've let some go recently. I forget what. I know this number changes, but that number probably changes depending on if they add or if they sell. You know what I mean? And since the ETFs came out, I know they've let go of some Bitcoin, but But if we see a significant drop, if they're looking to add, they probably would do that. So I'm curious, you guys, if we see this, if we see them add, where are they going to get the money from? What if this accredited investor opportunity is literally a money grab for them to, it's coming out at kind of a weird time. It's coming out at the time where like we're literally getting to that pre-halving dump. I feel like the prices are about to be lower. I think it's a smart move on their part. I mean, obviously it's a smart move. They're creating shares out of thin air. They're going to get more money, but they might use those shares to up their reserves, is what I'm trying to say. So that when those shares get unlocked, this doesn't get hit as hard. Yes, there will be some selling pressure, but again, immediately in August, I'm not assuming so. I think we're going to bottom in March, so that would at least put us out towards September, toward the end there. But who knows? September or March is going to be the low, is what I'm thinking. By April, we might be back at the current prices, maybe, right? By April, maybe we'll be lower. The interest from the accredited investors probably isn't going to come in until we're like above this high. Like that's when it's going to come in. So I'm really curious as to how long that accredited investment time frame, as far as like when they can do this. I'm curious to know how long that is. How long does this round open for? I know how long they're going to be restricted for, but how long is it open for is what I want to know. Because if it's like 3 months, you know, in my opinion, that's really not going to be too much to worry about. There's probably not going to be a lot of accredited investors who want to buy something within the next month that's literally at the NAV price. 3 months from now, that's probably back at this same price. You know what I mean? Like, I mean that if it shows a little bit of a pump, there might be, but you know, there'd probably be like a little bit of interest now, not really any interest here, and then a little bit of interest there again, right? Most of the interest would probably happen after this high is taken out, and I think Grayscale would know that. So I would assume that they're gonna have it open for a little while, but I really don't know. So and again, I'm doing a lot of assuming here, but they're probably going to use that money to add it to their trusts to build their trusts up for themselves and for you guys, you know. I would genuinely wonder, and when I say add it to their trust, I don't mean they're going to take the money from these accredited investors and buy their own shares here. I don't think that's what they're going to do. I'm just assuming that they're going to buy more of the underlying asset. But it doesn't have to be bad, you know. As long as this, I've been doing a lot of talking, man. But in short, as long as this ratio doesn't tank, and they add more to their reserves, I full-heartedly believe that these same prices that we've been talking about all along are very much possible still for LTCN and for BCHG. And maybe they're not. Maybe they're not. Let's say worst case scenario, you get a lower high instead of a new all-time high, okay? Let's say, and again, maybe I've missed some stuff. Please help me. I really tried to look into this as much as I could, but I can be wrong. Maybe you only get a 6x. Maybe you only get a 9x, almost a 10x, you know, like that's nothing compared to an 80x, a multi-100x, like that's nothing compared to that, I know, but your money is not gone. It's not all lost, you know. And I would think personally, like accredited investors, shares being added or not, I would think personally, if Bitcoin Cash does a 20x, this thing will probably do a 20x or more, right? Like that's my assumptions. And I think Bitcoin Cash could do a 100x from its current price. Maybe it does closer to like an 80 to a 90x, but still, I would think, being what it is, I would think that this does sell at some kind of premium. Now again, last time your all-time highs for this came out well before the all-time highs for BCH, or not the all-time highs, the cycle highs came for BCH. Maybe we do get our cycle highs a little bit earlier. But it depends. It really depends, in my opinion, on where BCH is, where BCHG is by the time that this round of private sales is over. Because if it's over in September, okay, yes, there's probably going to be a lot. Like if the price is, let's just assume you're maintaining this steady trajectory up here. If the price is all the way up here and you can buy it at NAV price, which I doubt they're going to let you do, so it probably won't be till September. It probably won't be. But if they can do that, there's going to be a lot of interest up there, right? They're going to get a lot of money. If it's, something like this around June, the middle of the year, that to me seems a little bit more reasonable, right? Or maybe it's like, maybe it is April, May, something like that around here, where you could buy like the asset that's like 200 to 300% higher for the NAV price, which is substantially lower. I really wonder how long this round is going to be open for, because then at that point, most of your shares might not happen in February or March. They might happen in April, and in which case that would put you out to like October that things are closed, right? Because that's 6 months, would be 10, April, yeah. October. So maybe it is till October, which is still pretty damn early, right, compared to a lot of the analysis that we've given. But that could be some fuel to the fire, man. Like maybe you see this thing go up here, maybe it maintains this kind of trajectory, just like this, and that is literally like October right there. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, sometimes good news is bad news, sometimes bad news is good news, and I get that share dilution, no matter how you spin it, that definitely sucks. But if they're adding to the trust, it might not be that bad. It might not be that bad. Regardless, there will be added selling pressure around the days that that they're allowed to sell in the free market. But look at what happened, right? They had the private sales before it was open on the free market. They had the private sales a year or 6 months before, however long it was, right? This wasn't when the private sales happened. They had private sales before. They had their round of that. It went down. It crashed hard. We're probably going to see this exact thing happen. But then it recovered. It actually went higher, and it stayed at these prices higher. So I don't think that – I would think that 6 months after, probably where the greatest area – of interest would be, which maybe it's now, which would put it in August, right? That'd put us in August. Maybe it's in a few months, which would put us in like October, September. I would bet we do see an initial sell-off. But if Bitcoin Cash, the underlying asset, if LTC, the underlying asset, continues to grow, the selling pressure is probably going to go away. Right? They're going to feel like, oh, I sold this at a great time, but then there's going to be people who are like, the underlying assets pumped up. Maybe we messed up. Maybe it's going. And I do think we're going to see the underlying assets for BCH and for LTC and for Bitcoin and for Ethereum. They're all going to go up even past the later half of this year. Right? We've got all of next year to go. So all that to say, man, I went on a whole long rant. I hope it makes sense. But I'm not investing in the Grayscale Trust, and it's not because of the accredited investors thing. It's the same reason as it's always been for me. I would just prefer to own the underlying asset. That's what I've said every single time. I feel safer owning the underlying asset. I learned the hard way through derivatives, not in a similar situation to this, but in my own situation where the derivatives bone me. It's better to own the underlying asset because it's just more valuable. Like it makes sense, like if you really think about it, right? But you can make more money, and absolutely I think you can make more money with the Grayscale Trust than you can with the underlying assets, even with this negative news coming out, right? I would assume with the money they get from this private sale, they're going to probably accumulate more of the underlying asset for the self, which is only going to be good for the trust, I would assume. Right? So when that news comes out, you'll probably see the price pump. But regardless, even at a minimum, even at a lower high, you're still going to make money in this stuff. You're still going to do well. And I would assume, I would be really surprised if you saw a lower high here, which is only like a 5 to a 6x. But Bitcoin Cash does an 80x. It does a 20x, a 30x, a 50x. Like Bitcoin Cash is not doing a 10x, man. It's at 200. You think Bitcoin Cash is going to stop at $2,000 this cycle? I don't think so. To me, I understand where it sounds negative, but again, negative news can be a good thing in the sense that it provides opportunity for people to invest. So you're going to get those prices you're looking for. You're going to get those prices I've been talking about for months. TA doesn't lie. They always say, the old saying is, show me the charts and I'll tell you the news. And guess what? This news was priced in long ago, man. We had targets down here for months now, right? For at least a month and a half or so. And it's probably going to happen. And Yes, I flip-flopped a little bit for one day. I was like, I don't know if we'll go lower, but then immediately changed it back. Yes, I did. For most of this time, I have been assuming that we will go lower. And for a minute there, I was weak. I changed my mind, but then I looked at the underlying assets and I'm like, okay, we probably do go down. But man, enough about me trying to vindicate myself. All that last part is that it's a lot of assuming. I could be wrong, okay? I could be wrong. Maybe it is absolutely horrible for the trust price itself. But Grayscale is a business. They want to attract customers too, and they don't want people to be turned off by some potential negative news. So what's the best thing to counteract that? Price growth. No matter what the news is, if price is growing, people are going to be like, oh, this is a scam, but it's growing up 200%. Put my money in there. I want my money to, like people are dumb and simple. And that's not saying that anybody's dumb here. I'm just saying, like, we are very simple creatures. We don't care about the blah, blah, blah. We're like, oh, price go up. Give me that. Like, we're very simple creatures, man. And I very much think that price action speaks louder than any kind of news, good or bad, right? You can have the worst news, and if price goes up, nobody cares. You can have the best news, but if price goes down, nobody cares. So, and I've experienced that personally with a lot of projects that I thought were good, and I've missed out on a lot of projects that I thought were bad. Dogecoin being one of them. It's a nothing meme coin. And it's one of the better coins out there, man. But another thing to think of before I finish this video, maybe look to putting, this could be a good opportunity to put money into Grayscale trusts that aren't involved with this accredited investor situation. Throw a little bit of cheddar in those, because those shares won't be diluted. They always could be. Grayscale can do whatever they want. They're a company. But, again, that's just another topic for another time. But if you guys like the video, hit that like button. Subscribe to see more. I could be wrong, I could be right, I could be somewhere in the middle with this, but I get where it seems negative, I do, but if Grayscale uses the money right, I think it could actually be a good thing. And I do think that whenever the accredited investors are unlocked and they can sell, they will probably do that. They will probably sell, and that probably will dump the price. But doesn't mean the price can't go back up with a vengeance, right? It topped off here at $34. It went all the way up here at $61, almost 100x or 100% higher. So who knows what's going to happen? Who knows what's going to happen? And right, that happened in August of 2020, all the way up to December of 2020, right? So August, September, October, November. That took 4 months later, and then we really didn't start moving down until May of 2021. So August to May, like, there was a whole lot of opportunity that you missed out on if you sold over here, if you sold down here, right? So just keep that in mind. I don't think it's the end of the world, but I could be wrong. Anyways, hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more. Thank you all for coming. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.